What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down step by step what digital real estate actually is. For those of you that may be new to the business model, it's going to be very, very insightful. And for those of you that have been around a while, you're like, oh, I already know what it is. You'd be surprised the things that you're going to pick up. Be humble, watch the video, and go back to the basics, which is what John Wood and all the great coaches, they always went back to the basics at the beginning of the season. So if you've been around a while, you're going to get a ton of value from me just going over each individual step and the wrinkle that I've added and how I've completely changed the business model, where it's still the same business model, but the steps and the order in which I do it is completely different. And so instead of it being like this hobby that everyone was doing in the past, now I actually know how to go and make money, and there's a system of how to do it. So guys, if you have no idea what digital real estate is, awesome. If you know exactly what it is, awesome. You're going to benefit just the same, if not more. And with that said, guys, enjoy the video. What's up, guys? In this video, and I'm going to get right into it, I want to cover and go over exactly what digital real estate is. I want to cover step by step how the business actually works, what it is. For somebody that might be a beginner, I want to break it down to the point where if you're 7 years old or your 7-year-old watched this video, they could understand it. And the reason being is because simple scales, simple business models are the things that actually make money. And this is coming from somebody that's tried a lot of different things. So we're going to get right into it. I'm also going to show you guys a tweak and a little twist that I have put on the business model and how I've been able to use the core business model to, have a framework, but I've been able to add my own sizzle to actually overcome some of the downfalls of this business model. Okay, because every business model has its ups and its downs, its goods and its bads. Okay, so that said, guys, let's jump right into it and get through this. So let me just show you guys. I'm going to use a diagram. I think this is a little bit easier to understand. And I also want you to understand too that I use terms interchangeably. So if I say rank and rent, I'm talking about digital real estate. If I say website rental, I'm also talking about digital real estate. But every single time I use any of these terms, I am talking about the exact same business, and that is we'll call it digital real estate for the purpose of this video. Okay, so let's look at this diagram here. This is how digital real estate actually works from a 20,000 foot view. And it's a very, very simple model. Okay, so how it works is if you hear the term rank and rent, that's essentially what you're doing, right? You're ranking websites and then you're renting them out. That's it, right? Build a website, rank it, rent it out. That's kind of like the easy explanation. Okay, but I want to show you the actual steps that are involved for this business model. So step number one, when you're doing a digital real estate, okay, again, this is for somebody that has heard of it but doesn't quite know exactly how it works, or somebody that's never heard of this business model, stumbled across this video and is like, what the heck's digital real estate? I'd love to know what it actually is. Okay, so again, we're going to take this very, very simple. And for those of you that have been doing this a while, you're still going to get massive value out of this video, because anytime I go back to the basics, I always pick up a little nugget that I'm like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that thing, or I've been overlooking that thing, or whatever the case is. It's kind of like that John Wooden example where every year he would go and start with the very basics, the chest pass, or from what I understand, he even used to show his players how to correctly wear their socks and tie their shoes so they wouldn't get blisters. Like, every single detail matters. So if you're watching this, you're like, oh, I already know about this. You'd be surprised the things that you can pick up when you humble yourself and listen. So I'm going to go through this quick, but here we go. Step number one, guys, for digital real estate is you are going to select a city and a niche. Okay, so you're going to pick and by the way, you could say niche, whatever the case is. I say niche because I'm a little bit country, grew up in a small town in Utah, is what it is. You select a city and a niche. Now, there is an art behind this, and I'm not going to go, each one of these steps could be 10 videos in and of itself. There's a nuance in every business, and each one of these steps has nuance, okay? But for the purpose of this video, you are going to select a city and you're going to select a niche, an industry, a service, whatever. What I will say, though, is that typically the home service niches work the best. And that's because there are certain criteria that I like to follow. There's a framework I like to look at when I'm looking at niches. And there's certain things, certain elements that the niche needs to have and not have for you to choose it and say, yes, this is one I want to go into. Okay. So for example, one of the things that I like to look at is I want to go into a niche that is phone driven. Okay. And what I mean by that is that when you call to get, the service, you call to get an estimate. You don't go into a shop, into a brick and mortar. You call them and have them come to your house. So I like a phone driven business. That's one of the criteria. So just to give you an example. So first step is you pick a city, you pick a niche. Okay. Step number 2, you build a website. Now, some of you guys are like, oh, I don't know how to build a website. Guys, I didn't know how to build a website when I started doing this. And I hope I didn't even say this, but when I started doing this business, it's been 9 years now. I didn't know anything about websites. I didn't know anything about online business. I didn't know anything about home services. I knew about how to drive a tractor. I knew how to, knock on a door and try to sell somebody a home security system. My little scope of what I knew was so narrow, but it did not include anything technical. It didn't include anything home service related. My dad wasn't a plumber or anything like this. He was a farmer, and I know how to drive a tractor and how to harvest crops, but that's about it. Okay, so I'm telling you this because it's not as complicated as it sounds, but the next step is you're going to build a website. I like to use very simple website builders. So I personally use something called Weebly, which a lot of, the tech guys out there will kind of, crap on because they say, well, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that, it costs more money. Yes, it does. But you know what I love about Weebly is it's simple, it's easy for somebody like me, and it's freaking speed, baby. Money loves speed. So after you pick the city, pick the niche, then you're going to build a website. Okay. Now, once you build a website, the website doesn't do anything if it doesn't get phone calls. And the only way it's going to get phone calls is if it gets traffic, right? Your website's not just going to magically start getting phone calls. Have you ever thought about that? I never really thought about this stuff, guys. I'm trying to be very, very basic here and go back to 9 years ago for me. I never thought about, like, why do websites get traffic? Yeah, they're on the side of cars. Maybe they're on a billboard, whatever the case is. But you have to get traffic to the website. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can pay for traffic. You could go run a radio ad. You could go, Google has a thing called Google Ads. You can pay Google, or you can go and you can earn free traffic. Okay. By the way, it's AC's killing me here. You can go and you can earn free traffic by doing something called SEO. Also, didn't know what that meant when I first started. It stands for search engine optimization. Okay. In layman's terms, you are optimizing your website for how Google likes it. And they are as a result going to put you at the top of the search. Okay. So that when people search concrete near me, when they search duct cleaning near me, when they search tree service near me, or add your city, you show up for certain terms. Okay. And this is the part of the business that is kind of the buzzkill. Okay. Because you see right here, I wrote 4 to 6 months. That is conservative. Okay. I've had websites that have taken me 12 to 14, 16. Sometimes they don't rank. And that's the reality. And some of you guys are like, well, what do you mean? I'm getting there. Don't worry. Okay. But the next step is you're going to do SEO. You're going to start doing some of these different things. And by the way, I didn't know how to do this stuff when I first started. I had no idea what the first thing about SEO was, but there are certain things and actions that you can take that's going to rank your website. Okay. So you got to do SEO, 4 to 6 months, website starts ranking. And then the step after that is you call a business owner, you start giving away free leads. Again, I'm kind of assuming that you're going to follow the strategy that I follow, which is like send free leads to a business owner. Technically from there, you go and get a deal, however you want to get a deal. Some people just like to call and try to get a deal. I like to send free leads from that website. So my duct cleaning website in Minneapolis, for example, starts getting phone calls. I grab the phone calls. I don't do duct cleaning. So I start calling local business owners and I start handing off free leads. Okay. Do that, send 3, 4, 5 leads. And then after I've done that, business owners warmed up, I get them on a Zoom call and boom, in comes the money. I put the deal together. I always do a flat fee deal where the business owner pays me a flat rate and I give them every single lead that comes off the website. Now there's kind of an art. There's a strategy and an art to this because you're not really guaranteeing anything. And business owners sometimes are like, well, why can I pay for, per lead or commission? And that's a completely separate topic, but I only do flat fee deals. And there's again, an art of how to position this, how to bring it up, where you can get these every single time. My typical deal is it starts with a 6-month deal. I do 1,000 plus per month. So $1,000 a month plus. I've increased that recently. Like I'm trying to go for $1,250 to $1,500 per month. And on top of that, I am exclusive with the business owner. So I'm not going to send the leads to anyone else. Okay. So in a nutshell, guys, that is literally it. That's the model. Like it's very, very, very simple. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get this. It's pick the city and niche. Just a quick recap. Let me move myself out of the way here. Pick the city and niche. Number 2, build a website. Number 3, do SEO, which is like a 4 to 6 month period. And then you're going to give free leads if that's the method you want to choose, and you're going to get the deal. That's how digital real estate works in terms of like 20,000 foot view, whatever. This is the overall concept. Now, what I discovered, and I'm going to just briefly touch on this really, really quick, is that when you start doing this, it's awesome, it's exciting, but you get to this step right here, you get to the SEO step. And the problem is, number one, it takes time, right? It takes 4 to 6 months at the minimum. So every time you build a project, you have a 4 to 6 month lag before you can even think about selling it. But what you don't even think about is, well, what if you build that, you rank it, and then no leads come in? Like there's just not a lot of people searching, or you miscalculated, and now all of a sudden you spent 6 months on something that isn't even producing. Had that happen, or you do all that, it does produce, and you can't find a business owner that's hungry because there's just not that many business owners in that town, or there's just a lot of leads and they're just fat and happy, right? And so this became something for me where I did this business model. I made money on it. Okay, I got to $8,000 to $10,000 per month for a few months, and I couldn't scale above it. I was just like kind of stuck. Now I had debt. All kinds of different stuff. I had other obligations where like it wasn't just me by myself, single guy, 8 to 10,000 bucks a month. It was like I had kids, a wife, bills, freaking house, car, whatever the case is, and it was very, very difficult for me to scale. And so for me to go and like build 100 of these websites with all even though they're small costs, it wasn't practical. So let me show you this just really quick. I want to show you what I did. This is the twist. Okay, the little wrinkle that I've done on the business model, and that I'm known for, that no one really did. No one was really thinking about or doing until I started doing it. Now, a lot of people have realized this is the way to do it. But I wanted to give you guys this view first. Okay, so this is how digital real estate works in a perfect world. Now, this SEO step, what do we do to combat that? Okay, now I'm going to just show you what I do. Okay. Now, before you get overwhelmed, there's only, as you can see here, there's 3 extra steps right here. And then one of the steps is in a different order. Okay. But it's amazing. And this is how you actually make money. So what I should say is here's digital real estate, how digital real estate works. And then here's how to make money doing this. Okay. I put how I do digital real estate. So let me go ahead and show you. It's not that complicated. It's actually really, really simple. But guess what? It lets you avoid the 4 to 6 month waiting period, and you can start making money essentially from day one, or from the first week or two into this. So the first step is the same. Select the city, select the niche. Duct cleaning in Minneapolis. Okay, boom. Now, before, what we did is we went and built a website, right? But you can see I don't actually build a website on my process until the very, very end. In fact, did I even add that step? Yeah, okay, I did. I'm sorry. That would be at the end. I probably should say SEO and build website. I'll do this. Build sites plus SEO. Okay. So, sorry. All right. So what I do is, instead of actually waiting, building a website and then waiting 4 to 6 months, I do something a little bit different. So what I do is I immediately go and I build a prospecting list. What I mean by that is I go and look at, are there business owners in that particular city that are even interested in paying for marketing? So I go look at people that are paying for HomeAdvisor, people that are paying for Angie's List, people that are paying for, other marketing services, because then I'm like, I know they're sold on the idea of making money, right? Or sorry, of making money through advertising, of paying for advertising. So I build my prospecting list. By the way, at any point, so if I start building my prospecting list and I find out there's not enough prospects, or there's no one that's hungry, and I define hungry as somebody already paying for advertising, I'm going to go to a new city. I'm not going to waste 4 to 6 months trying to get to the end of this process just to find out, or just to hope that somebody's interested in my leads. Okay, so I actually I build a prospecting list. What I do after that is I go and I build a landing page. So if you compare that to what I was showing you before, right? So before you actually would go, sorry guys, you would actually go and build your website, right? That's part of the original process is you would build your website. I don't do that. What I actually do is I build a landing page. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is I build a simple, this thing literally takes me 30 minutes to build. It doesn't cost me any money. It just costs me a little bit of time. It's a landing page that I can send traffic to that has a phone number and a little quote form. So I'm going to just actually took a screenshot of one. Let me show you really quick here. Where are we at? Okay. This one right here is actually my landing page. You can see right here, stgeorgeductcleaning.weebly.com. This is a landing page that took me 30 minutes to build, okay? And by the way, once you do it once, you have a template, boom, you can kind of literally just copy it, change out the picture, the phone number, whatever. These things could take you 20 to 25 minutes and you're done, okay? So I build a landing page, and then what I do is I actually go and I set up paid advertising. Okay, now I don't want to lose you guys here, but instead of going and building a website and doing SEO that takes you 4 to 6 months to start getting traffic, I go to Google and I say, hey, Google, I'm going to spend a little bit of money here. Okay. And in exchange for the money I'm going to spend, you're going to give me traffic. So you can literally go to Google. Again, this is an entirely separate video. It's not as complicated as it sounds, although I would just urge you to not be stupid and just throw money around. But you can go to Google. It's called Google AdWords, and you can pay them to send traffic to your website. Okay. And imagine I've got this. So instead of taking 4 to 6 months to start getting traffic, I've got this little landing page, which I already showed you guys right here. Whoops. Okay. Got this little landing page, and I'm pushing traffic to this landing page right here. And when you push strategic traffic, not anybody, but people that are searching for duct cleaning to this page, you start getting phone calls, right? You start getting phone calls, and guess what? Instead of waiting 4 to 6 months to get phone calls, you are in 7 days. I've had it happen in 24 hours. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes it takes 10 days. You are getting eyeballs in that short period of time. And so you've completely collapsed the process, collapsed time from 4 to 6 months at the minimum to sometimes 24 hours, sometimes 72 hours, sometimes 7 days, sometimes 10 days. But you have collapsed the process down where you don't have to wait those 4 to 6 months anymore. And then guess what? It's right back into the original process. I take those leads, I give free leads to a local business owner, exact same, 3 to 5 leads. I get them on a phone call. Hey, here's the deal. And then boom, I have landed a deal, and it's a 6 month contract. It's $1,000 plus per month. It's an exclusive deal with that business owner. And now I'm making money. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and take that person's money that they gave me, the $1,000 per month. I'm going to keep running the ads. So let's say out of that $1,000, I'm spending, half of it on ads, or $300 out of the 1,000 on ads, right? 30% of it on ads, keeping them happy. I'm taking the rest of it and I'm building a website now that I own. I'm doing SEO, and I'm starting to do all of the stuff to get, ranked on Google, but I'm getting paid throughout the entire process. So instead of going in the hole and not making any money and spending money on hosting and a tracking number and all this different stuff for 6 months at the minimum, I'm actually profiting, 50%, 70%. So 500 to, let's say 500 to $700 on $1,000 deal every single month for the 6 months. So let's say 6 months, let's say I'm making only $500 a month. I just went in the green. I just made $3,000 because I made $500 net per month over the 6 months while it's ranking. And this is the craziest part, is I'm building a website that I own, that I control, that all the leads and all the every bit of that, the IP of that project, that asset is mine. And I'm using somebody else's money to build it. I'm getting paid to do it. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, when you're building a website that you hope is going to work, that's one thing. And it's fine because you can kind of be like, well, this might work one day. And I'm just kind of like having faith it's going to work. But when you're building a website that you have already gotten paid for, you know that if the more leads that you can get, the happier the business owner is going to be. You could bump them up on their price. You could keep them for the next, 5, 10, whatever years. It's so much easier to do this business. Okay. And so That's it. So I build the website and then I do the SEO. And then as soon as the website's ranking, I turn off the ads and the traffic's free. And now instead of making $500 a month, I'm making $1,000 a month. Now, of course, I've got a tracking number cost. It's $5 a month. Sorry, that screen keeps going black. $5 a month for that. I've got a little bit of hosting, but my overhead cost is literally less than $50 a month once this thing ranks. Okay. So guys, that is the process that I do. Let me see here if I'm missing anything. Yeah, I want to show you this particular project here that I did. I guess I didn't show you this. When I do the city niche selection, some of you guys might wonder like what that actually looks like. I use a tool called Rank and Rent Engine, rankandrentengine.com. It was actually one of the students that I taught that built this tool, but I use that to go and analyze cities and niches to see, you know, what kind of search volumes. You can see like this one right here is Durham, North Carolina, duck cleaning. I can see the search volume's 110. The cost per click is this. Again, I get into all this stuff inside of my mentorship, but for the sake of this, I use this tool to actually analyze cities and niches. This is the landing page that I do. And then look how similar my actual website is. So this website right here, stgeorgeduckcleaning.com, is the actual website that's made me the money. And it looks almost exactly like the landing page, except for I actually did the SEO correctly. I put organic content, and you can see it here. It's a .com rather than, in this case, it's a .weebly.com, which means I'm not paying for it. And it's just kind of like a burner one pager. Okay. Now, just to kind of wrap this up, this little, crappy little website right here, I've had this client since 2020. You probably wouldn't believe me unless I showed you proof, but that website has made me $58,500. Okay. 58,000. And by the way, if you guys want to research the website, go type in St. George Duck Cleaning on Google or type in stgeorgeduckcleaning.com. You could see this website for yourself. Okay. This little website right here has made me $58,500. I think that's what it was, right? $58,500. So, guys, this business model, you build a website, you rank it on Google, you rent it out. That's the overview. And it takes you 4 to 6 months to do it, and you hope you go into the right city and whatever the case is, right? Still, it's pretty simple. It just has that time, that 4 to 6 months, which is a complete buzzkill, and it doesn't seem like a big deal until you try to scale. But if you guys will take a page from my book, little wrinkle that I've added, which is doing things backwards and actually paying for traffic up front. By the way, you might spend $200 to get leads to close the deal, but as soon as you make the $1,000, you've just recouped your costs, you filled back the coffers, and now you're playing with house money, right? So by adding a couple of extra little tiny steps and doing it in a different order, I've literally been able to make millions of dollars. And by the way, in a future video, I will show you screenshots or whatever the case is of that, because I know that's the claim that everybody makes. I made millions of dollars, and I've made millions of dollars doing this business model, building simple websites, dozens and dozens of these little websites, and renting them out. Not from coaching on how to do it, which I do that as well, but this is completely separate. This little freaking process, which is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a 7-step process, I've done again and again and again and again and again, and it has made me so much money. It's ridiculous. And if you guys follow the steps, you can do it as well. So this is digital real estate. Hope this helps for anyone that's maybe a beginner that was curious about it, how it actually works. I'll see you guys on the next video.